Are you in the mood for some very lively paintings of the very much not alive? Perfect, then welcome to the nest. But before I could paint the skulls, I had to paint the skull. I got this anatomical skull recently and loved everything about it except the color. So I felt like I could do a little upgrade, a little glow up, if you will. And with just a little bit of primer spray paint, some acrylic paint, and a sponge, I was able to give this skull a pretty impressive makeover, if I do say so myself. I wanted to give him sort of that weathered, aged, maybe looked like he had been outside, maybe in a cave, maybe dug up from a grave, I don't know. Did I just rhyme? Either way. I really had a great time repainting this skull. This was definitely not the main point of the project, but I knew that I wanted a really good, solid reference so that I could continue doing more skull paintings because I had such a great time doing them before, but my only issue was finding copyright-free images to use. So I figured, hey, why not just create my own reference and my own images from now on? How do you like them apples? Welcome, artists. It's Caleigh Bird, and while I'm sitting over here drawing out these three skulls, keep an eye out on the left. Do you see that funky looking plant? That is actually called a resurrection rose. It is part of the resurrection fern family, and it's this bizarre sort of plant that essentially dries up and hardens into a tight little ball and stays that way for weeks or even months at a time, and then every once in a while you just take it out and put it in a little dish full of water and it will start coming back to life and essentially filling out and filling itself up with water. So how cool is that to watch during this drawing? This last little bit is just the transfer process, which I do have a video on that if you're interested in learning what I'm doing. And ta-da, look at the end and check out the fern before and after. So cool, huh? In order to make these skulls really feel like they saw a former life, I wanted to not just paint them in black and white as in grayscale. I wanted to give them a little bit more depth and volume to these colors. So I made sure to do a few warm and cool values such as this red, yellow, blue, and even some green later on. Skulls and bones and things are always really fun to draw or paint anyways. Give me a little skulls rock down in the comments if you agree. But they're really fun to paint anyways. But my real inspiration for doing these three as a trio together was from last year. Do you guys remember the three I did during 2020? Or actually, not last year, 2 years ago. Duh, it's 2022. Gosh, time flies. But anyways, those three paintings sold faster than any other paintings. They sold as soon as I posted them. They were all three gone. I wound up selling a bunch of prints of them. They were literally what I would consider my most popular paintings ever. I had people requesting, am I going to do more of them? And then people got really excited, of course, when I did the animal skulls too. But definitely those three were I would say my fastest selling, most prints sold out of anything I've done. So I was like, hey, if I'm going to do one more skull, I may as well do three more again. It's kind of fun to coordinate them and think about making them as a set, not necessarily all the same by any means, but just sort of as a set in which they kind of look good together, right? They all kind of have the same vibe. So that was sort of my reasoning for wanting to purchase the anatomical skull to begin with and then wanting to get back into it. So as I was painting these, I decided to start with this one, the smallest one, just to kind of get myself warmed up again. It's been, a hot minute since I've painted bones, so I just wanted to kind of feel my way around the sort of smaller, simpler one before I got all into the thick of it with a million teeth and things, and the next one's coming up. But, as soon as I got started, I just kind of found my flow once again, and really enjoying these beautiful colors that I've got going on. And I tried to kind of think about the background as I was doing the foreground. So this one has sort of a purple background, so I'm kind of keeping the foreground, i.e. the skull, a little bit of a more greenish tint, but you'll see that I kind of adjust that as each one comes to fruition. But yeah, this one's pretty fun. This is just a little 6x6 guy. He's not super big, but very, very satisfying to paint nonetheless. After painting the small one, I felt really nice and warmed up and was ready to go ahead and jump on into the biggest one. So this one is a 10 by 10, and he is definitely something different. If you notice, I am using some warmer tones in this one. You can see some nice sort of almost pinkish reds in there in his shadows, because I wanted the nice warm pinks to contrast that very, very vibrant sort of teal blue in the background. So I thought that gave a nice warm, cool balance. But this skull, like I said, definitely something different about him. You don't normally see skulls being painted with their mouths open like this. And I realized after I drew him, he kind of looked like he was being like, hey, hey, like making like a jokey grin or something. But I figured I'm just gonna roll with it and see what happens, because I wasn't really trying to go for like big goobery stupid silly grin. I'm really more going for, I figured, more like not quite the Grateful Dead, but maybe like the Joyful Dead, right? I thought maybe I would make this one just see what would happen if I made his mouth open. And then once I saw him, I was like, you know what, I'm going to lean into this. I'm going to make this just sort of seem like a very sort of perky, maybe is a good word, skull. So you'll see where this goes. But I actually wound up really enjoying the big grin on this one. I was a little hesitant at first, like I said, because my artwork is definitely, I'm trying to focus a little bit more on beauty and reality, and not trying to make things like silly per se. But it actually wound up turning around in the end, and he didn't wind up looking like a big goofy goober. I think he wound up, like I said, not Grateful Dead, but definitely Joyful Dead for sure. Painting the teeth actually kind of wound up taking quite a bit of time. It was really hard to not make them look like they were like kind of like buck teeth, like sticking out too much. I think it's just because this grin really emphasized his teeth so much that I didn't want to make them look like they were, again, not too silly and goofy, just like, yep, this is just a guy with a, set of teeth, just like pretty much all of us have. But again, always a learning process. I'm always happy to challenge myself and try something new. And yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with how they turned out. All right, now skull number 3, and this is actually the medium-sized one. I guess this one's about a 8-incher, but really enjoyed painting him. Loved how the background turned out on this one. Just almost like this sort of Technicolor spiderweb sort of explosion. Turned out really, really, really well. So I wanted to make him quite dynamic. Again, I thought about my background color since it was sort of more of a purple and sort of a warm blue. I gave him a little bit more of like a cool kind of a yellow, just to give a nice contrast, to really make him stand out from the background, since it was, it's kind of busy back there. I didn't want to make him get lost sort of in the webs, in the nets. But this one I kind of felt like turned out to be sort of my most serious skull of the 3. The first one was almost kind of like cute, and the second one kind of like almost whimsical, right? Kind of like a happy little deity, right? And the third one, yeah, a little bit more serious. Oh, how I wish it was really that easy. This may actually be my favorite part, going through all of my little dead bug and insect collections and picking out just what will be the perfect one for each piece. Oh, this is so good. I actually do have to be very, very careful at this stage because these little lizards and bug bodies are so fragile. I mean, there's like no collagen or skin or anything. It's just like a little teeny tiny pile of skeleton. Like, they just crumble sometimes. And then, of course, doing all of the pressed flowers and ferns and all the different flora really is just a whole lot of like trial and error. I just kind of pull it out and see what I like. Rarely do I have this kind of thing planned out before I start painting. Occasionally I do. I have definitely planned out some paintings around some especially amazing dried or dead pieces, but normally it's just sort of picking it out as I go. A lot of these pieces just tend to happen very organically. I just paint a thing and then see what looks good, stuck to it. But I do actually have to dab a little bit of glue on each piece before laying it down, and then in between each layer of resin, because otherwise when you pour the resin, all these little bits will start swimming. Oh, I got something very new to put in the resin, some holographic film. Just wait till you see what comes out of this. Very exciting stuff going on over here. Oh my gosh, just look at those details. Oh, butterfly wing, eucalyptus, gold leaf, so special. These literally turned out better than I thought they would. I am like floored. I hope you've enjoyed watching me paint these 3 skulls today. Just kidding, I can't keep that up for long. But if you did, I actually am making all 3 of them available as a set of prints. Like I said in the video, the 3 skulls that I painted last time, they sold immediately. I wound up selling a bunch of prints, and so this time I am making all 3 of them available as a set of prints again, and each one will be hand gold leaf, making them all one of a kind again, and I've got them available on my website right now as a pre-order for a very, very limited time. And because the last ones were extremely popular too, I'm also going to bring those back for a very limited time as well, so you can order either set, or I will even have a couple that you can order by themselves. I'm not sure which ones yet, but I got you in case you can't quite get all 3 this time. And I've also got some really amazing waterproof vinyl stickers with the last skulls on the website too. So pop on over to my website and order yourself a set of prints. Get yourself a sticker for your water bottle, and yes, if you're extremely festive, you can even buy one of the original paintings. That's right, because if you agree with me, it should be Halloween kind of pretty much all year round, right? Thanks so much for being here, guys. I hope you really enjoyed it. Grab you a set of prints. They're available for a very limited time, and I will see you in the next one. Toodaloo!